All right. Welcome, my brothers and sisters, to Two Old Goats. Let's get uncomfortable.
All right, welcome back. This is actually number 11.
Number 11, big 1-1.
Congratulations, we're in double digits. Woo! Now, I like what Hutch's prayer before he starts stuff.
Hmm.
You know, those be convicted that need to be convicted, and those of you who need to be comforted, I hope you're comforted. But
Yeah,
especially let's concentrate on the convicted.
We got to start it off first. He says, "Remove me out of the way."
Oh, I always forget that part.
I know you do. Remove me out of the way.
So who's going to make shit work if I'm not there?
So this message, if you need to be comforted, it will comfort you. If you need to be convicted, it will convict you.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah. Now let's get uncomfortable.
All right. Now let's get uncomfortable. We set it up. We even prayed.
But
that's a good thing. Yeah.
And no lightning.
No lightning today. Well, I don't know. It was dark outside a while ago.
All right.
It could be coming.
Good. Well, what do you got? I know you got some good stuff over there.
Well, just some notes from the week. We talked last week a little bit about the resistance.
And, Viva la resistance.
Viva. No, I want to kill la resistance. Muerta is the Mexican word for death. Muy muerta. But we talked about that and thought about it a little bit this week. And what I'd like to kind of start off, learning how to be miserable would help. I mean, I think not in your life or anything, but when we're training or when you're going through stuff, you know, we have this saying, and I'm not sure if who came up with it, but embrace the suck. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, there you go.
Right?
Wait, you got to turn all the way around. They can't see it. Scooch down.
Yeah.
Okay, now bend your head.
Freak.
I'm just
All right.
So, you know, in terms of being miserable, I mean, we kind of talked a little bit too about parts of the military, you know, even bragging about how much they suffer. More like the Marines, maybe Army, not so much the Air Force. You know, they don't have to suffer as much, I guess. I don't know. The military puts a lot of money in the Navy and the Air Force. Mm-hmm. So, you know, everybody else is going to suffer. But you guys are, I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm just saying it's a different level. I don't know. I have no idea. I've never been in the military. I'm just talking off my top of my head right now. Maybe you can help us with that.
No, there's some truth to it. I know when I was stationed at some Army bases, we had to stay off base at a 4-star hotel because their living quarters were not up to the Air Force standards.
Okay. Yeah.
So there is some truth to it.
So what would they have done with the Marines? If I could pitch a tent over there, shut up.
If they get a tent.
If they get a tent.
Right. No, there is some different standards and stuff. That was way above my pay grade. I just went where I was told and did what I did. And, you know, but there was times when I trained with the Marines or I trained with the Army. So it was a different world. And
you were in security, policing as
I was in security forces.
So you probably trained with all
of them. Well, early on, the Navy and the Air Force trained their police forces, security forces together, or at least same base. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know nowadays.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not sure I'm sure a lot of stuff has changed, but you know, that concept though you were talking about, I don't know. I have a problem with that word miserable.
Okay.
You know, because the thing is that's not how the training went. It wasn't that they presented it that you're going to be miserable to a certain extent. You know, I mean, they did, but they didn't. You know, in my mind or the way I viewed things was I got excited about those opportunities. You know, when we got put in the CS tanks and, you know, things like that, those were fun times, you know, throwing grenades. And
did you get the video I sent you earlier this week about the you and your friends in Nebraska?
I did, but I couldn't pull it up. It wasn't working.
Oh, okay. I need to show it to you.
All right. Well, anyways,
They were playing with. I'll just tell you, they were playing with. They were kind of out in the country, and they were playing with an electric fence.
oh yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were talking about it, and one guy goes, "I'm not afraid of it," and he touches it, and it nearly knocks him on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other guy goes, "Oh, you didn't do it right." He touches it, and it nearly knocks him on his ass.
Right.
And then the first guy goes, "That was cool. I want to touch it." He does it like 3 or 4 more times.
Right.
I'm like, "That's freaking Tom right there."
Oh yeah. Well, the secret is you got to put both hands on.
They didn't do that. They only
See, if
did
you do
one.
both hands, you will get
Yeah.
thrown back. One hand, that's kind of
Well, they said it was for a bull or something. I don't know.
yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, you got them out there.
Yeah.
But so that the word miserable, and I mean, we're talking to normal people too,
Right.
you know. And so if you're saying, hey, you have to learn to love being miserable, I don't think that's teeing it up right.
Right.
You know, I think, you know, I've heard the words of, you know, learn to be uncomfortable. That's a little bit more palatable than learn to be miserable or learn to love misery. But the truth is learning to love the challenges because it's adventures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can change your mindset that when you're looking at adversity, you know, drama or life, right, happening, with a mindset that I'm about to get uncomfortable and this is about to get fun,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then when those things come, man, it's just a whole nother experience,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I mean, that's how these great stories come about. That's how, you know, people create amazing books.
Right. Oh, I agree.
Because they're like, let's do this, you know, let's have fun with this stuff, and the outcome's always better, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's semantics. I guess.
Well, I think when we're looking at the journey, so to speak, to get to write a book or whatever
Mhm.
it is. I mean, we talk about physical stuff and working out a lot, but whatever your thing is that you're trying to do, it's I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, you have to go through some miserable shit. I mean, the mundane
Mm-hmm.
repetitiveness to get good at something. And then I don't know why we have to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning, but that too. And you know, I don't know, but I see where you're going, and I think too. I was listening to Jocko and them talking the other day. He was interviewing, I think McFarland is the general's name, was the guy he served under, an admiral or whatever. But they were talking about the main thing that determines whether soldiers make it through or how good they are or whatever. It's not about their strength and their, you know, ability, physical abilities and stuff like that. But it is a lot sometimes about their ability to get through the mundane, the ability to suffer a little bit, the ability to go, this sucks, and just keep going.
Right.
You know, pick up a pack and go.
Right.
You know, but so to speak, and the attitude is what's so important.
Right.
Not so much this sucks, but even if it does, and you know going in, what's the attitude going in?
Right.
You know, and that's kind of what you're talking about is your attitude is, you know, I'm going to attack this or be fun. I like the way Schwarzenegger talks about when he was going in his book, he would go in the gym and he was always laughing and smiling.
Mm-hmm.
And his thought was like for every, you know, thousands and millions of reps or whatever he did, he's like, oh, this one's going to get me closer to my goal.
Mm-hmm.
This one's going to get me closer to my goal. And I mean, it takes some mental strength to be able to do that for consistently for a period of time. So I think that's where the resistance comes in. I know for me, I think my mind gets bored. My mind wants to do something else.
Right.
So,
Well,
and I don't like to be tired.
Well, see, that's the thing is,
Actually, I like it. I just don't like getting tired.
but in all the books that we've read and people doing these great challenges for themselves or going through adventures and things like that, I don't think I've ever read it where they're like, dude, I was just tired.
Yeah.
Even when they were fucking really tired.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think if you're saying I'm tired, then I don't think you're doing it right.
Right.
And going back to the miserable part, and you're talking about the attitude, right? That's where the truth is really is your attitude a facade or not. You can go in because you can go to a training camp or you can go do something and be jacked up. Yeah, I'm all motivated, right? I'm all like inspired. I can do this. And then as soon as you get to that third rep or whatever, that 30th mile,
yeah.
Then all of a sudden, now check, where's your attitude now?
Right.
So I think the attitude can get you in the door, but I don't think it can keep you in the room for very long.
Right.
I think that's when you have to shift gears and there's something deep down inside, which goes into that base question of, am I enough?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately the question.
And is that the source of the resistance? Fear that I'm not enough.
I think that's
could that be a part of it?
I think I think there's a few parts. There's a few things, right? One, we have our own personal past history, right?
Correct.
Anxieties, fears, all that bullshit, right? That's going to creep up first, right? Well, no, I take it back. If you haven't ever done it, if you've never pushed yourself, the body and the mind are going to come together and say, this is too much energy that we're exerting here, so we need to back the fuck up, right? So I think that's the first mindset, is our body goes, whoa, we want to conserve energy, dude.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the initial part. And I think the positive attitude can get you past that one. Okay? Then when you're past that part, now we're digging a little deeper because now we're on mile 20, mile 25, mile 30 when your ass is hurting.
Right.
Right? When your legs start shaking, things like that. I think that's where the am I enough starts coming in.
Right.
Do I really want to be doing this? This is real shit. This is really hurting me.
For what it comes in for me, like when we rode the 150 last year, and for that first day into that fucking 25-mile-an-hour wind,
right?
Fucking 80 something mile, whatever it was we did the first day. I don't know, but anyway, it wasn't for me towards the end. That last leg, that last stop that you take, dude. If there was a car there to take me,
right, I
would have got on it.
Yeah,
but there wasn't, and I literally just said, well, I'm going to go down this road, and I see on the map that I think it was 13 miles or however many miles it was. The road changes. We turn left, and we'll be going with the wind.
Right.
For like the last, 5 miles or something?
Yeah, that
wasn't a long ways. No. After we rode all day long, head into that damn wind. Right. I was done, dude. But I just it was just, okay, I'll get to the next hill and see if I can get up that hill. I'll get to the next and go, and that's the way it was. And it wasn't, I didn't want to do it. As a matter of fact, the second day, probably around the last or second to the last stop, I did quit.
Right.
But there was no vehicles around to take us in.
Yeah.
So I said, what the hell, I'll just start pedaling, and when a vehicle comes by, I'll get on it and get a ride in. Well, that suckers never came, and I ended up riding it all the way in. But it was brutal. It was not fun. And even I kind of got a resentment because y'all were waiting on me at the end at the campus, or right before the end, and we crossed the finish together.
Yeah.
But right when I, caught up with y'all and we got on, the first damn thing we had to do was go on this big damn dip hill under some bridge.
Right.
And I was like, I already quit the shit way back there.
Right.
So I didn't have the proper attitude. But
I hear you.
we got through it.
Let's look at that attitude a little bit more. There's one thing that I learned in AA, right? It's about what are the tools that are on your table.
Mm.
Okay? So I can have a positive attitude all day long, but if I have excuses still on my table,
right,
damn right I'm going to use them.
Yeah.
Right? I can name off a few things where quitting, not finishing, right, was not on my table. I know when I first did my very first through hike, I did 32 miles up in Sam Houston in the rain, uphill both ways.
Right, straight to the hospital.
I did go to the hospital. I had broken feet, broken shins. I went right back out right after the hospital, right? And I finished the last mileage.
Right.
It was I think it was 18 miles. So I did 18 miles on broken feet.
Yeah.
Right? But quitting wasn't an option. It wasn't on my table.
Yeah.
Now, I'd have to admit, I didn't have a positive attitude about it.
Right.
So now what do? If quitting is not an option and I have a piss poor attitude, I think that's where true misery comes.
That's where we get back to miserable.
There you go.
So we do have to learn to be miserable.
Right.
I'm not talking about a lifetime or a long time even. I'm talking about, for a period of time. It's part of the journey.
I agree with you on that. I don't like the presentation of learning to be miserable, but I do understand the concept that it's okay to be miserable. Sometimes that's going to be part of the journey. Sometimes that's where you're going to hear your name.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to find out, am I enough?
Am I enough? Right. Yeah.
That's the moment.
You have to get there. You talked about hearing your name. And I think you have to get to that point sometimes. A lot of the folks in the Bible and even through history, when they hear their name or they get their resolve, they're out in the wilderness, or they're at least not in a comfortable spot.
Right.
And we talked about in a little bit about that comfortable spot, but I think a lot of times that's the most dangerous thing, is the comfort.
Right.
We don't want to suffer all the time, and we worked hard and bought a nice house and have nice things so far. The economy's changing a little bit, but the point is we deserve some comfort and some rest. We have to rest, but the thing is that comfort and that being used to being comfortable.
Right.
Or being attracted to it. I mean, I like it. I gotta admit.
Well, I think that's a talent that you can teach yourself, to be comfortable, uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys bitch and complain about when I like to go camping, typically at the end of July, early August, when it's about 120 degrees.
Right.
Why
can't we go in the spring or the fall instead of laying there with sweat rolling in my ears?
But there's something about that moment when you are desperately miserable.
Right.
And if you have the ability to find peace and a conscious contact with your higher power in that moment, man, it means so much more. It means so much more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wiping away all those things that are limiting us, that are holding us back from the sunshine of the power, or sunshine of the spirit, and getting us in direct contact with that higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because there's so much stuff.
Well, along those lines too, in order to have that contact, that's what we're talking about when we say you will get out there, hear your name, or learn. You'll learn something.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to get out of all this, everything around us, everything wanting our attention all the time, just no focus.
Right.
That's just the way our society is. I think our bodies and our mind um, haven't caught up with it at all.
Right.
You know, Brett Weinstein's book. Uh,
That's right.
I'll think of it in a minute.
Right.
Good
If
read.
you remember the book, put it in the comment.
Yeah, good read. Good read. And a lot of back to basics stuff. A lot about he talks a lot about our mind and our body is not evolutionary. He's an evolutionary biologist. There you go.
Okay.
Our mind and our body evolutionarily is not caught up to the speed of all this social media and television, even and stuff wanting our attention,
Right.
and us having to fight it, defend it, listen to it, be a part of it. Anyway,
Okay.
good stuff. I forgot why I was bringing that up.
That's because you just ranted about this book that you don't remember for the last 15 fucking minutes.
Oh, I'll think of it in a minute.
Talking about being miserable just for a moment.
I know, I can't even look it up because my phone's over there.
There you go.
But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, we're talking about being miserable. We're talking about having an adventure. You're talking about how our bodies and our minds are.
Yeah, evolutionary. We're not ready for all this stuff where we are now.
I don't think
it's like we were talking about earlier. We're not ready. Our bodies aren't ready.
Mm-hmm.
Our mind or whatever for Jack in the Box on every corner.
Why do you gotta keep down on Jack in the Box?
I don't know.
Is that what you
Jack in the Box makes me think of their stuff is like fat. Yeah. I don't know. To me, I don't know.
Because McDonald's, Burger King, Whataburger, those are all good.
Don't be talking about Whataburger.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
Whataburger is from Texas, and it's the real deal.
Even though it's not owned by Texas anymore.
That's just a recent happening, but
okay. All right.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, you got to give them a chance.
Okay. So, the thing about the mind and the body not being ready for whatever, we're not going to wait for it.
Right.
We're going to keep moving forward. Eventually, our bodies will evolve into this gelatinous, paint shrinking, go nowhere, comfortable state of mind that
the alien
eventually
look
will kill us.
Yeah, it'll be the alien look.
You're talking about the gray and the big eyes.
Yeah, the big head, big eyes, and no body.
Right.
Or little body.
Right. Well,
yeah. Is that where we're headed?
Not me personally, because I'm that caveman that likes to go out in 120-degree weather, so my eyes don't get bigger and I don't turn gray.
I got you.
So,
what?
Yeah. I'm fighting it, man.
Your eyes get bigger.
Yeah, that's the alien eyes.
Oh, I see.
And the gray skin.
The gray skin. Okay.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I took that personal for a minute. I thought you were talking about my gray hair.
No, that's white.
Oh, that's wisdom.
Yeah, Gandalf or whatever is white. Yeah. But going back to what you're talking about, the adventure, am I enough? What's on your table when you're going through your adventure? Going to the stories. I hear a lot of people, they're like, I get compared to a lot of people. They're like, oh, well, as long as I don't compare myself to Tom, well, Tom's childhood or Tom's life or Tom's adventures or Tom's that, I just don't want to compare myself to him. But the truth is, I'm not doing anything crazier than some of these guys are doing.
Right.
These guys are like at another level, but I'm not comparing myself to them. The point of the matter is am I getting outside of my comfort zone? Am I looking at my limits, my personal limitations, and removing them from the table of my excuses to fucking not do shit and go do it?
Right.
You bring up the 5 a.m. stuff, that kind of sucks. But the truth is, I looked at what do I want to be in life, right? And I know my biggest purpose in this world is to be of service. Mm-hmm. And this book here talks about fitting ourselves to be of maximum service.
All right.
So I did some research and I found out there's some commonalities among some of the most successful of service people in the world,
Okay.
past and present.
All right. Let's
Okay.
have it.
And a few of those things are they all wake up before 5 a.m.
Not all of
Everyone that I've read,
them. Okay.
4:59.
Everyone that you've read. Okay.
I don't know who you're reading.
Okay.
Dalai Lama, he wakes up at 3. Come on.
No, I'm
Who
listening.
do you got?
Oh, I don't know. This is your deal. I'm
Okay.
listening.
Anyways, but there's a reason for it. There's multiple reasons for it, right? But let me finish why I'm doing this. So,
None of my comedian friends get up at 5 a.m.
how many comedian friends do you have?
You know, Joe Rogan and Bert Kreischer. He
Bert
don't get
Kreischer.
up at 5 a.m. Tom
Tom Segura.
Segura, he don't get up at 5 a.m.
You might want to call them first. I think Joe Rogan does.
No, he doesn't. He gets up at 9
No.
or 9:30. Well, he's out doing comedy until 1 or 2
Yeah, well,
or whatever. He owns a club, you know.
for the most part, the 5 a.m. And there's a reason for it. I'm going to tell you the reason. Okay,
I'm listening.
waking up or actually getting going, right, by 5 a.m. So there's one thing. Second is they're doing some kind of physical activity, some kind of exercise, like yoga. You can do some running, biking, going to the gym. Any kind of
Walking is good.
basic walking.
Good start.
Some type of physical activity.
Good fat
Okay.
burner.
So wake up before 5, do some physical activity. There's got to be some form of meditation, right? It can be spiritual, religious, it could be whatever kind of meditation you do. But the point of the matter is that you're shutting up for a while and allowing the energy of this universe to come inside, right? So there's the meditation. And the fourth thing is they're reading something, not fiction books. They're reading non-fictional books, okay? Something that has to do with spiritual growth or mental growth or even good old-fashioned biographies of historical people from the past that have done amazing things, right? So those are those 4 things. Now, the reason why, right, if we go back to why I'm doing this is I'm supposed to fit myself to be of maximum service. If I personally wait until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, noon to do my meditation, to do my working out, that moment of time in between when I wake up and I start fitting myself to be of maximum service, there's opportunities there. I'm coming across my wife, my children, people on the street, people at work, wherever I'm at.
Not at 5 a.m. you aren't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I wake up at 8, if I wake up at 7, right?
Right.
Until I do those things, right?
Okay.
The chances of me coming across somebody at 7 or 8 o'clock is way higher than at 4 or 5 in the morning.
I must have missed something. Go
Okay.
ahead. Okay.
So
go
that's
ahead.
why.
Right.
Because if I wait till later in the day, I'm going to come across a loved one, a stranger, a work coworker, whatever it is, and I'm not going to be prepared to deal with that shit.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to be of maximum service in any form whatsoever. Okay? Now, I'll be able to help to a certain extent, but I am of maximum service. So first and foremost, I need to align my 3 sides of the triangle. My mind, my body, and my spirit to fit myself to be of maximum service.
Mm-hmm.
So there it is. That's why you do that. So by 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can come my way, and I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's why the 5 a.m.
Okay.
All right. Let me hear your argument.
No, that's cool. I
No,
understand.
I want to hear it. Your voice
And you,
heightened a little bit.
well, I was trying to, anyway. But see, what do you do after that? So we go work out, we do our thing, we walk for a mile and a half or 2 miles, whatever it is, and then we go home. What do you do?
I shower and
Get dressed and go to work.
right.
Right. My work doesn't start until like 10 or 11 because nobody's up in the morning. I mean, I can do paperwork for a little bit, computer work, but
Right.
so anyway,
But at that
I'm just
time,
playing devil's advocate.
I know,
I'm
but
not-
at
it's
that
not-
time, if you're going to get up and go to work at 8 or 9, right? you're going to come across more humans.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Well,
you're
not at my
prepared.
house.
You're not prepared.
All the humans are gone out of my house.
I'm saying it's normal, right?
Right.
We're
I mean,
looking at
by that time.
we're looking at the most of the time. You're going to come across more humans late as the day goes on. So why not try to get of maximum service before the sun comes up?
Right. Well, what you're really talking about is personal time and taking time for yourself.
There you go.
There you go.
Preparing yourself
Right.
for the day. Aligning yourself up with a power greater than yourself on all sides of the triangle.
There you go.
Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Because it's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's seasonal. I go through seasons. There's times when I like to do that, and there's other times where I'll start a little bit later.
Right.
But for the past couple months or month and a half, we got thrown off a little bit. We were talking about that last week, but before that, we've been real consistent and
right.
Started back
Well,
again.
That's the other thing, the consistency. When you start involving other humans in your day, meaning later on in your day, the chances of you missing out on working out, missing out on your meditation, missing out on your reading, all that stuff heightens because life gets something. What's that phrase?
That's the one you say all the
What's
time.
that one? I can't remember. You go and say it.
It's not me.
But
I don't remember.
life just starts happening.
Okay.
Right? So you're not fit to be of maximum service. You're not prepared. You don't have all your armor on. You don't have your sword ready. You don't have your mind right.
You haven't read your Ephesians.
You haven't read it all.
Yeah. Get
right?
your gear on. Okay.
Yeah, you're not ready. So that's why.
Okay.
Right?
I
So,
gotcha.
getting back to, am I enough? Right? Knowing that I'm in line right now, I've done my meditation. I know the will of my higher power of today, which is to go be of service. And I know I fit myself to be of maximum service. The answer to that question heightens. I can actually answer and say, yes, I feel pretty confident. Right?
Okay. But that's the reason I wrote that down, and we've talked about it over the years. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that men have.
Right.
Is they have that question, whether they know they have it or not. There's something in there that's worried about, am I going to be enough?
Right. Well, what's that saying?
Am I going to be able to provide? Am I going to be able to?
Who says that saying? That most men live in quiet desperation.
I don't remember, but I know the saying.
Right.
Something Scott, maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
But
wild ass guess.
So we most of us live in quiet desperation because we're wanting something different. You know, going back to our minds and our bodies aren't prepared for Jack in the Boxes on every corner. Well, some bitch, let's get busy.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm going to go off on a side tangent real quick.
Okay. Do I need to make a note for where we are?
Yeah, you might want to, because this just sparked a memory of mine during my meditation this morning. So I went for a walk this morning, okay? And I crossed this sign in this parking lot, and it said, please hide your items so they do not become a temptation.
Right.
Okay.
I see that a lot. Parks and stuff like that.
And I noticed it, and then I started getting upset.
Okay.
So this sign is reminding me that I need to hide my stuff because any random person could walk by and go, oh, I need to steal that.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to have a sign that we need to hide our stuff so it doesn't spark their temptation. And then I went from there, and then there's notes on bags saying, please don't put this over your head. Mm-hmm. Right? And then there's other things on Tide Pods that says, don't eat these. Mm. Okay? So then I'm like, how fucking stupid are we?
You're forgetting the 5-gallon buckets that have the thing for kids not getting upside down in there.
Yeah, don't jump in those.
Don't jump in these 5.
Right.
Yeah.
It was irritating me. And then when you were talking about, we're not prepared for having Jack in the Boxes, the conveniences of this world, like the whatever it may be, that saying there coincides with the hide your shit so I don't steal it. Mm-hmm. Right? So we need to start aligning ourselves up with being uncomfortable and not falling into the rhythm of this world,
Mm-hmm.
right? That it's wanting us to go because ultimately, I believe Mother Earth wants its bodies back.
Mm-hmm.
We've had it for a long time, and we're not doing it any justice anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, short time compared to Earth, but
Well, we've had it long enough,
right?
And Mother Earth is like, yeah, these guys are idiots. I want my body back, right?
Okay.
So I think that's where this is the opportunity because I can feel the frustration. I can see it. I can see that quiet desperation that these lost minds and everything, they're missing out on the adventure. They're not. They don't have the ability to answer the question, "Am I enough?" It's all based off of outside resources and circumstances, and then of course, don't even get me started on the churches sitting there saying, "Oh, everyone deserves everything, and all you have to do is just pray really hard, and you're going to get that house, or you're going to get this." I lose my mind on that shit, right? So trying to bring this whole back to what we're talking about.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
right back there is I know I'm enough because I know where I come from.
right?
The only way I found out where I come from is to make sure that I live being uncomfortable.
Okay.
Right? Because I had those moments where I had direct contact. I didn't have all my limitations, the noise, the radio, the TV, all the news, all the bullshit in my way distracted me from the sunshine of the Spirit.
Yeah. In the middle of August.
In the middle of August.
Out in the woods.
120 degrees.
Right.
I'm stripped of all that stuff.
Okay.
And then I go, there you are. Now I got it. Right? Then that's how it works.
I like it.
So I love being miserable.
Okay. There you go. You fought it pretty hard. So the fact that you love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a while to bring you around.
Oh, is that what that was? Right.
Oh, good stuff. Let's talk about. Are we caught up with that?
Yeah, I think we're ready to get in the book about the challenge.
Yeah. Well, we started Can't Hurt Me. We got a few guys who were taking through this book. Mm-hmm. We actually started it a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and we finally this week we made it through the first chapter and to the first challenge. And that's the way we do these is we actually study them. We read them more like they're textbooks instead of stories or novels or what do you call them? Novella? That's a short novel, is a novella.
I don't speak French.
Okay. But anyway, I wanted to I've heard you say before, excuse my French.
I've never said that.
Are you sure?
I've never said that. I just say fuck you.
All right. That's true now that I think about it. So anyway.
Oh wait, I said bonjour, bitches.
Yeah, you say that?
Yeah. See, I do know a little French.
You do know some French.
Retract that statement.
Yeah, you know some Spanish too. I heard you say taco and burrito.
Taco, burrito.
There you go.
Gordita.
Queso.
Pico de gallo.
All right. Damn, you're fluent.
Very fluent.
So I wanted to talk about our challenge this week because a couple of reasons. One, just to talk about it and see where we are, maybe get it out there. The other thing is because kind of the way it lines up with our program, with our 12-step program.
Right.
And I mean, it's right in order. So it's kind of I'm not surprised that this worked for Mr. Goggins, put it that way, because it lines up a lot with what we learn and teach and what's in our material, our literature. So have you had a chance to look at yours this week? Or
I have.
Okay.
But what does he say on challenge 1?
Challenge 1, he talks a little bit, just to kind of summarize, I don't want to read it to you, but he talks about to say he had a rough childhood is pretty bad understatement. It was challenging. It was similar to yours in some ways. But anyway, he talks about his bad cards in life were dealt to him early. So he had to figure out how to overcome what was dealt him. And his question and his challenge is for us to look in our lives right now, see what's going on, what's the situation, I'll just read this part. What's your bad hand? What kind of bullshit are you dealing with? Are you getting beaten, abused, bullied? Do you ever feel insecure? And here's the point I wanted to bring up. I guess we all go through that depending on where you are in life at different times, but he makes this suggestion. Maybe your limiting factor is that you are growing up so supported and comfortable, you never push yourself. So, I think right away he attacks comfort. And be surprised if we were honest, more people would, claim guilty to that. I would have to claim guilty to that in a lot of ways.
Right. And I do want to share with you, when you read that are you being bullied, abused, things like that. Yes, you can be bullied and abused by other people, and that's what that question's about.
Right.
But if you take it just a little bit further, a lot of people I know are abusing and bullying themselves.
Yes.
Right?
Big time.
Because of their past, because of this, because of that. So that's why we want to answer that question honestly, because if you're not being abused and bullied by others, there's a good chance you're being abused and bullied by yourself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we beat ourselves up about, living in the past. It's terrible.
And the part you're talking about, that limiting, I think that goes into the adventure part, right? What's limiting you from living this life?
From experiencing the adventures.
Right.
Yeah.
What's holding you back from doing an MS 150 or a 10K or, painting that portrait or getting that camera to go take a picture or go horseback riding or whatever it may be.
Pick up a new hobby and
start try something
learning
different.
Archery.
What's
or something,
holding you back?
Or whatever you like to do. Yeah.
So that's what that is. All right.
Okay.
Proceed.
Let's see. What are the current factors limiting your growth and success? Is someone standing in your way at work or school? Anyway, he goes on, and then he tells us, break out your journal. If you don't have one, buy one or start one on your laptop, tablet, or notes, your app, smartphone, and write them all out in minute detail. Don't be bland with this assignment. I showed you every piece of dirty. Anyway, he went over his whole life, and he was wide open with what happened, what he felt, what he was going through. And so the way it lines up with our program, the first thing we're doing here is we're taking an inventory. We're looking at ourselves and we're saying, okay, what's holding us back?
Right.
Is it our attitude? Is it, first we're going to look at things out there because that's our nature. And then we're going to realize, hopefully we realize, oh crap, I created all this out here. So really, it's what's in here that's holding me back.
Right.
So,
well, a lot of the times is, if we do look out and we say, well, I didn't have anything to do that happened to me. Right. I know saying it, then you have to ask yourself, well, is that happening right now? Right. If it's not, that means you're holding on to it now.
Right.
It's still your problem.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. And we work with a lot of people in recovery and people that are not in recovery that we help and take through the program, stuff like that. But, they're not in recovery from addiction and alcohol or drugs, but they're in recovery from different parts of their life.
Yeah. Most of it's fear, anxiety, depression,
living in the future, living in the past.
All that stuff. It all comes together.
Right. So basically we're starting off with, let's take a look at ourselves. Let's take a look at where we are. What is holding us back? And be, like he says, minute detail. So have you had a chance to think about a couple of years? I haven't done the minute detail part, but I'm kind of thinking about a few.
Yeah, one of my biggest things that are on my list that's holding me back is my identity.
Your identity, your self-identity?
My self-identity.
Okay.
The way I think other people see me.
Right.
And the way I identify with things such as, well, I have a good time with nacho cheese, right? I show up to parties with gallons of nacho cheese, right?
Right.
And so now if I start living better, eating better, I'm not going to show up at those parties with nacho cheese. And what would everybody think?
Right.
How would the party succeed without nacho cheese?
Right. And
Right?
you do make a good one.
I do.
I
I
have
had
to
a
be
bunch
on.
of shit.
Yeah, you do.
Hamburger, pico de gallo.
Usually I don't like all that stuff in
Yeah.
there, but yours is good. I
Yeah,
like it.
sausage. Always have sausage in there.
I know
is
you're a
amazing.
sausage lover.
That is another big thing that, I show up at parties with sausage all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a sausage connoisseur.
Well, I drove to Pearland to eat at a restaurant with you that all they served was sausage.
Right.
So I would say,
yeah,
you're into sausage.
So, but that's how this is just a minor thing, but I do identify with that.
Right.
So now there's a part of me that says, well, how would people review me then?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How are they going to look at me when I show up with salad?
Right.
Or carrots?
You're going to be that guy.
I'm going to be that dude.
Yeah.
Right? But the thing is that's where I am limiting myself, because it doesn't have to be that way. I can be more creative, right? But my simple self, right, is basically saying, dude, no one's going to like you if you don't show up with sausage and nacho cheese.
Right.
So I'm like, well, then fuck, I can't stop. I got to keep doing that. And since I'm going to eat nacho cheese and sausage, I might as well have cheeseburgers.
Right.
And since I have cheeseburgers, I might as well have French fries with that Dr. Pepper.
Well, it's the French fries and the Dr. Pepper that get you.
But see, that's where that whole thing is that you talked about a few sessions ago with about change.
Right.
We're either moving forward or moving backwards. Well, the longer and longer that I identify that people won't like me or people will judge me if I don't show up with the good food, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sliding backwards, right? I'm not bettering myself. I'm sliding backwards. So then that's one of my biggest limits.
Mm-hmm.
Was that enough detail? Was that minute detail?
That wasn't minute, but it was. No. You're in there. That's a good outline.
All right, good.
It's a good outline.
So that's on my list.
Okay. Anything else?
No, nothing that I'm going to share right now.
Okay.
But I want to hear what you have.
Okay. I thought you would never ask.
Yeah,
I was trying to be polite and wait.
Right. I knew you were.
Really, I was about to blurt it out. This is a challenging one for me. For some reason, I feel like I'm going through a lot of changes that I'm not really excited about. It's called growing up.
About time.
Yeah. So, I'll just, not to be minute detail, but just a broad sketch where I'm focusing. Some of the medical stuff I've had lately, that I went through prostate cancer and radiation treatment and different stuff like that. One of the things that I can't do anymore that I did for quite a few years was I was taking testosterone. And because my testosterone levels were low, and it's real unhealthy, for one, to have low testosterone. It's not good for your heart, right? For one thing. And then the other thing is, for me, I just don't want to do shit. Mm-hmm. The other part of it is, literally, you don't want to do stuff. I can be sitting in the chair thinking, you need to get up and go get the weed eater, right, and start mowing the lawn. 20 minutes later, I'm still sitting in the chair. And it's not the old, I know, in the past when I was, it was just, I just didn't want to do it. This is different. Right. It's like an anchor in the middle of me holding me down. And, I think it has to do with that testosterone, and because of the cancer thing, that's one of the things they do immediately is take you off of testosterone. A lot of the doctors believe it feeds into the cancer, okay, and makes it worse. So anyway, my urologist hasn't put me back on it yet, and I don't know if he will. He may not, and I'm struggling with being okay with that, number one, and number two, I don't know if I would take it again, because that cancer shit is scary, Okay. So, what's the workaround? You know, I'm starting to try to learn about that. There's, you know, of course, lifting weights is helps build testosterone. There's a lot of stuff. Diet, weights. Is it DHEA or some other stuff? But anyway, I don't know. I'm just learning about it. Right now, that's what I feel, to get back to what we're talking about, is the big thing that's holding me back and limiting me. And the thing that's scary to me is I notice it in my thinking too, in terms of, you know, I feel like sometimes I don't have the energy or the want to think or to get into something that I'm going to have to spend a couple of hours studying, reading, talking about.
Right.
Even stuff that excites me, you know, like all this podcast stuff we're doing. It's all new and stuff, and I am not Mr. Technical computer guy, and so we're learning to do all this together, and we're learning to do it on the fly, and it's exciting to me, and it's so cool when you start something like this that you've never done and you start getting into it. We learn so much more than, you know, just making a podcast. I'm going to put the camera up, do the video, get the sound right. We're good to go. Get the back. There's a lot much more. I'm surprised at how poor of a communicator I am. You know, whenever I'm looking at the videos, I'm going, dude, you suck. You're not even like, I wouldn't say average. So anyway, but I think my limiting thing right now in terms of where I want to be is that, and it's that that feeling, and it's that dealing with overcoming that. And it's kind of interesting because, you know, last week we were talking about resistance.
Right.
This is a big ass resistance. So on the positive part, I'm thinking I'm about to make a huge spiritual leap.
Absolutely.
Or something big is about to happen, because that's usually how it works, you know, when you, and then the other part I haven't really talked about that you know, I'll just mention it, but I need to talk about it with people before we get into it too much, is, you know, the other thing about getting off the testosterone, and I noticed this whenever I was on it regular basis and I would forget to take it, was when it was out of my system or whatever, a real depression would come in, like for a day or two. And I've never been a depressed person.
Right.
And this, you're going to laugh at this, I've always been a morning person.
As long as I've known you.
Yeah.
Except for these last probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, we've been bitching about the I've been bitching about the 5 o'clock. You've been selling it. But, you know, I've always been an early person.
Right.
Shit. I mean, all my life I've worked, and I'm at work at 6:30 a.m. or whatever time it is. But so anyway, that fucking depression shit is just, I mean, physically sometimes have to just fight through it and keep going, put one foot in front of the other. And a lot of times I got to get out the door in the morning.
Just do it.
I got to get out the door.
Right.
And once I get out the door, I'm okay.
Right.
So anyway, that's the beginning of what I'm going through right now in terms of limiting me. But, you know, like I said, for the inventory part.
Right.
Now we get to work. Now it's time to get to work.
Okay.
So it's not a get depressed and all that kind of bullshit.
Right.
It's even though I feel like I'm dealing with depression a little bit, I don't think it's, you know, who I see depressed and who has problems with depression is people in our program who aren't living the program.
Well, yeah, because
it's untreated alcoholism or untreated drug addiction, whatever.
Right.
Most of the people we work with have those problems, or even the normal people we work with. I mean, we worked with people who turned their whole life around for 2 years, and they're knocking it out of the park.
Right.
And then they slowly quit doing everything.
Right. And now they're back to.
And now they're right back.
Big eyes and gray skin.
Yeah, and they're not. You know, they're not alcoholics or drug addicts, but they're back to the same life that they're complaining about.
Well, the truth is, with those type of people, the thing that baffles me is a lot of the stuff on their 4th step very similar to mine.
Right.
How the hell did they do that without alcohol?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you should have drank a long time ago.
Right.
You could have got here a lot quicker.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
Also, I want to make a point, just for the record. 10 years ago, you're the one that taught me to wake up before 5 and meditate before you go about your day. You need to have conscious contact with your higher power before you go about your day.
Right.
So I'm just saying for the record.
Yeah.
You're the one that initially taught me.
Right.
Because I said, why the fuck are we waking up so early? And you go, I don't even have an alarm clock.
I didn't.
I just wake up naturally. So
I still, even when we get up to like today, I would say over 80% of the time, my alarm goes off at 4:15. Over 80% of the time, I wake up at 4:10, 4:11, 4:07.
Yeah, because you were supposed to be.
I
That's
don't
the way
know.
you're meant to be.
No, but I don't want. I'm not happy about it.
Well,
I got to change that part.
going back to our initial prayer, you have to move yourself out the fucking way. So you can start getting busy. And those that need to be convicted will be convicted.
But I want to be comforted.
Well, you can be comforted too when you learn how to be comfortable and miserable.
Comfortable at
in misery.
In misery.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you a quick thing about the. I want to mention something. I don't know how much time we have, as much as we want. Let me see your big book there.
All right. Hold on, we're about to get learned.
Well, we're talking about this inventory and doing what's essentially in our program called a 4-step. But wherever you are in your life and whatever you're trying to achieve, I suggest start off with an inventory. And here we go, how it works, inventory. And Mr. Brown needs his ass kicked. We can all agree on that.
I think Mrs. Brown needs her ass kicked. Mr. Brown is going around and he sees that sign about hiding stuff so no one gets tempted.
Right.
Well, Mrs. Brown should have hid herself so Mr. Brown wasn't tempted.
Oh, there you go. That's an AA joke, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, we start off with the 4-step, and that was the inventory. But here's the part I want to read. I like to read because a lot of us don't want to get into that. But I like to read when we do our 5th step, because after you do your inventory, you got to sit down and talk about it. But here's the part that I like to read that to my new people that I'm working with, because a lot of people don't want to do, especially if you're, coming through some very challenging or, very bad, rough times in your life. And you're having to write all that stuff out as an inventory.
Real or manufactured.
Real or manufactured.
Okay.
That's a good one. It's not exciting. It's not fun, and you kind of don't want to relive it. So, but what I like to tell people is, look, here's some things that are going to happen afterwards. And this comes straight out of the material. After we do the work and we go through it, once we've taken this step withholding nothing, it says we're delighted. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have spiritual experiences. And on and on and on. It says we can look God and we can look another man in the eye. And
you gotta read that part.
Where we feel we're on a broad highway.
Broad highway.
Well, it tells us, the feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We feel we're on a broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. So those are essentially promises that if I do this work, like if I do this inventory we're talking about, and then I discuss it with someone else and talk to God about it, and get right with my higher power about it, and myself, these are the things that are going to happen. I mean, stuff, you got to get going, you get over that hump, you get some momentum going, and then the next thing you know, great stuff starts to happen.
Right.
So anyway, I wanted to bring that out. The other part about doing an inventory and stuff is, we've all heard that saying of, or actually it comes out of the Bible. In other books, it's in our book. It says, as we disclose ourselves to Him, He'll show Himself to us, talking about our higher power or God. And when we do this inventory, and we're sitting down talking with another person, that's what we're doing. We're sharing ourselves with God because God works with us through other people. So when we're doing that and we share that, then we automatically have a change. And I remember when I was doing that fifth step with Steve the first time, I had a couple of things on there that I wasn't going to talk about because it was too embarrassing. But anyway, it's like Goggins in his book, I don't think there was anything he didn't talk about. So it's pretty scary. But there was a couple of things on my list. I wrote them down because I knew I had to be thorough, but I thought I was holding on to some idea in the back of my head that I wouldn't have to say it out loud to someone else. So anyway, I'm doing my fifth step with Steve, and I'm thinking I'm this bad person because it's all my stuff for 40 years. And I look over at him thinking he's going to be going, oh my God, leave my house. And before you do, clean that chair off.
Right.
And I look over and he's asleep. I'm like boring this man to tears. And so I'm thinking, oh, good, he's asleep. So now I can tell these couple things. And so technically I'll have completed the program and I'll stay sober for the rest of my life because I really said it, but he's asleep. So this is a good deal. So I went ahead and I said those 2 items on my list. And I mean, I was just not expecting nothing. I wasn't looking at him, and all of a sudden he slammed his hand on the table and goes, it's about damn time you told some truth. So anyway, that was the part that was some of the parts that were really getting to us. My point in telling you all this long-winded story is when you do this inventory, get down to the real stuff, get down to it. Don't spend a lot of time on it. A lot of people want to spend a month. No, sit down and write it down. Don't worry. It'll come later, the rest of it. But the fact is we're learning how to process it. So anyway, I talked too much about that. It's up to you.
Sometimes you got to get a little dirty to get clean.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
True statement. I like it.
Well, if I try to clean up my 4th step,
yeah,
it's just not possible.
No. Well, and most of us are like that as we, that's why I wanted to really kind of bring up this thing about this inventory. And anyway, this is his first book. He's already got another one out, actually a year or 2 ago.
Yep.
And we've been through that one, but we got some new guys in the program, and they wanted to go through it. They chose it, and so we're doing it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite part of this type of book, and there's a few others out there, but at the end of every chapter, they have some action to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't miss out on that opportunity, because it does really bring the message that David Goggins is trying to share with y'all, which is hardening of the mind, right? Mm-hmm. The discipline in order to free yourself from the shackles of your past. Again, real or manufactured, whatever it may be, to just live free and be able to do all those amazing adventures of this world, to finally truly live, right?
To wake up first and then live.
Well,
that's the big one.
It's all part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's great, man. Well, I look forward to seeing more of your stuff.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll get into it this week. I'm sure y'all hear more about it as we go along. And I don't have a whole lot else. Do you?
Nope. I think that's it, guys.
Okay, I
appreciate y'all here.
I hope they were convicted or comforted.
That's right. And remember, move your ass out the way.
Yep. We'll see you. Is that it? We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Y'all have one.